Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Box Score. I am your host Hayat, and today we've got a loaded college basketball slate for February 12th. 6 matchups, 6 different betting angles, totals, spreads, home court edges, revenge spots, bounce back narratives, and a couple games where tempo and efficiency are about to collide in a big way. We're breaking down Hofstra versus Charleston, Portland State versus Northern Arizona, Memphis versus North Texas, Murray State versus Indiana State, Northern Iowa versus Belmont, and South Dakota State versus Denver. No hype picks, no blind locks, no guarantees, just pure analysis and opinion based on how these matchups stack up stylistically and situationally. Alright, February 12th slate. 6 games. Let's connect the dots. Hofstra versus Charleston, the lean here is the under. Let me walk through why I keep landing there. If this matchup plays out like the numbers say it should, we're looking at two teams that are both 16-9 overall, but they get there in completely different ways, and that tension is what pulls me toward the under. Charleston is 16-9 and 9-3 in conference play, coming off that 76-64 loss to UNCC Wilmington. And Hofstra is also 16-9 but 7-5 in conference play and winners of 3 in a row after that 71-49 win over Towson. So on paper, similar records, but stylistically, totally different paths. What connects for me is that Hofstra is first in conference in offensive efficiency. First in offensive rebounding, first in three-point shooting, and first in free throw shooting, yet somehow they are the worst two-point shooting team in the conference. That's such a specific offensive identity. 41.4% of Hofstra's points come from three-point range and 40.2% of Hofstra's points come from two-point range. They literally score more from 3 than 2. And they shoot 77.6% from the free throw line. So if this becomes a game where they're getting clean threes and living at the stripe, sure, that's danger for an under. But then I look at Charleston's defensive profile. Third in conference in three-point defense and the best defense in the Coastal at not allowing free throws. That directly attacks Hofstra's two biggest strengths. Now flip it. Charleston offensively is almost the mirror opposite. They're 11th in conference in three-point shooting, 23.6% of their points come from three-point range, which is the fewest in the Coastal, and they shoot some of the fewest threes per game in the conference. They want to live inside the arc. They want two-point buckets. But Hofstra is first in the Coastal in two-point defense, allowing 44.5% shooting from inside the perimeter in conference play. So if Charleston is built to win inside and Hofstra is built to take that away, what does that leave? Tough shots, half-court possessions, late clock situations. And when I zoom out, both teams have played against two of the 3 weakest strengths of schedule in conference play, so maybe some of these offensive numbers are inflated. Maybe that 16-9 looks a little shinier than it should. And then I circle back to the first meeting. Charleston won 66-64. That's the blueprint sitting right in front of us. Hofstra shot 32 threes in that game and only shot 31% from 3. They went 2 of 5 from the foul line. That's Charleston limiting both the three-point efficiency and the free throw attempts. Charleston was held to 66 points because they shot 45% from inside the arc, only made 3 threes, and even though they got to the line more, they only shot 59%. That game had everything we're talking about: physicality, contested twos, limited free throws, and volume threes that didn't fall efficiently. One path I see here is the exact same grind. Hofstra living by the 3, Charleston running shooters off the line. Charleston trying to bully inside, Hofstra allowing just 44.5% from 2 in conference play. That 66-64 type game is staring us in the face again. If this matchup plays out like the first one did, or even close to it, possessions shrink, efficiency dips, and this becomes another tight defensive battle. Yeah, that's why the lean sticks at the under. Next game we have Portland State versus Northern Arizona. The lean here is over 132.5. Let me explain why I'm not overthinking this. When I see Portland State sitting at 16-6, I immediately ask myself, can they score on the road? Because that's the whole question when you're betting an over away from home. And then I see they've won 7 of the last 11 road games. That matters. That tells me they're comfortable in different environments. They're not rattled by travel. Now flip to Northern Arizona. They allowed 72 points to Reaper State on the road. In their last home game, they scored 62 points but allowed 79 points, almost 80. So defensively, what are we really trusting here? If this matchup plays out like those recent results suggest, Northern Arizona is giving up numbers in the 70s consistently. And if they're giving up 79 at home and 72 on the road, why am I expecting a clamped-down performance now? The total is sitting at 132.5, and it's even mentioned in that 132-133 range, which to me feels low considering what we just laid out. One path I see is Portland State doing most of the heavy lifting here. If Northern Arizona's defense is not good, and that's the description we have, then Portland State should have no problem scoring. And if they push this into the 70s themselves, suddenly Northern Arizona doesn't have to be great offensively to help this thing get over 132.5. Even that last home game where they only scored 62, they allowed 79. So defense is the consistent issue. What connects for me is the combination of a 16-6 team that has won 7 of the last 11 road games facing a defense that just gave up 79 at home and 72 on the road. That's the math I keep coming back to. If this becomes a back-and-forth game where Portland State gets comfortable early, forces pace, and Northern Arizona has to respond, the 132.5 number starts to look light. And even if it's sitting in that 132-133 pocket, I still think the path of least resistance is points. I'm not asking Northern Arizona to suddenly transform defensively. I'm asking them to be who they've been, a team that allowed 72 to Reaper State and 79 in their last home game. If that version shows up, Portland State is the rest. Yeah, that's why the lean stays at over 132.5. Here we go with next game, Memphis versus North Texas. The lean here is the under and North Texas at home. Let me walk through why I keep circling back to that. If this matchup plays out like the profiles suggest, I just don't see how we suddenly get an offensive explosion. The under is 15-7 in North Texas games. That's not random, that's a pattern. And unders have also been profitable in Memphis games. So right away, trend meets trend. And when I dig into why, it's not complicated. North Texas is shooting the 3 ball at 28.6%. 28.6%. That's just not going to stretch a defense. That's not going to scare anyone. And then you layer in the fact that both teams turn over the ball at a very high rate and both teams do not hit their free throws. So we've got empty possessions from turnovers, missed opportunities at the line, and a team shooting 28.6% from 3. What part of that screams over? Then I look defensively, and this is where it gets even more interesting. Memphis defense ranks 30th in the country. North Texas defense ranks 41st in the country. So now we're not just talking about bad offense. We're talking about good defense on both sides. If this becomes a half-court grind, if possessions get dragged out, if those turnovers pile up, if those missed free throws show up at key moments, one path I see here is a game that struggles to find rhythm from start to finish. Now let's talk situationally. Memphis did get a road win against UAB, so I'll give them that. But outside of that, on the road, lost to Wichita by 5. Lost to Tulsa by 17. Lost to FAU by double digits. That's not just losing, that's uncomfortable road basketball. And North Texas, yes, they've lost 4 of their last 5, so it hasn't been pretty. I'll call this season a bit of a disappointment too. But this is still Denton, Texas. This is still a tough place to play. And if Memphis is getting line respect because of the name, because they've been dominant in the AAC year after year after year, then I'm looking at that and thinking, is that baked into the number? Is that inflating them a little bit? If this matchup plays out like Memphis' recent road form suggests, they're not going to light up the scoreboard. If it plays out like North Texas's 28.6% three-point shooting suggests, they're not stretching Memphis' 30th ranked defense. And if both teams continue to turn it over at a very high rate and both teams do not hit their free throws, then those are built-in under ingredients. What connects for me is defense ranked 30th and 41st in the country combined with a 15-7 under trend in North Texas games. That's not a coincidence. So yeah, I'm fading Memphis because of the perceived line respect, I like North Texas at home, and I like the under. And when I put it all together, the lean stays at the under and North Texas at home. Quick pause. If you've got an even one lean you like so far, hit that like button right now, and comment Z with your favorite pick. And if you're new here and you like the raw, think out loud breakdown style, hit subscribe. It takes 1 second for you, but it means everything for the channel. Alright, let's get back into it. Murray State at Indiana State. The lean here is Indiana State +3. Let me walk through why, because this one is more about pricing and context than just who won last time. Murray State is -3 in this spot. Earlier this year Murray State beat Indiana State by 4 points, but they were bigger favorites in that game and did not cover. That detail matters to me because it tells me the market once respected Murray State more heavily in this matchup and they still only won by 4 and failed to cover. Now we're in this -3 range. And here's the thing, between -4.5 and +4.5, Murray State has dropped 6 of 7 against the spread when lined in this price range. That's not random. That's 6 of 7 ATS failures in the exact -4.5 to +4.5 window. So if this matchup plays out like another tight, mid-number game, which the previous 4-point result suggests, that trend becomes relevant. Now yes, Indiana State is currently struggling, but here's the counter. As an underdog they're 7-1 in their last 8 as a dog. 7-1. So when they're catching points, they respond. And now they're getting the 3. And the biggest variable here, the one that keeps jumping out at me, is Marcus Harding. Big man. He was out 9 games. They dropped 6 of those 9 games when he was out. So 6 of 9 losses without him. He has returned. He has played a couple games. He has been starting the last couple games. And the team is described as a lot better with him out there. So what connects for me is this. Murray State in the -4.5 to +4.5 window has dropped 6 of 7 against the spread. They already beat Indiana State by 4 earlier this year as bigger favorites and did not cover, and now they're -3. Meanwhile Indiana State is 7-1 in their last 8 as a dog and getting the 3, plus they've got Marcus Harding back. After missing 9 games where they dropped 6 of those 9 without him, and he's now starting the last couple games. One path I see is this game landing right around that 3-point margin again. And if that's the case, I want the points. If it's another 4-point type game, I still have a shot. If it's tight late, I trust the 7-1 as a dog profile more than the 6 of 7 ATS struggles in the -4.5 to +4.5 range. So yeah, I'm grabbing it. My free play selection here is Indiana State plus points over Murray State. And that's why the lean stays Indiana State +3. Next game we have Northern Iowa versus Belmont. The lean here is Belmont, lay the points. Let me tell you why I'm landing there. If this matchup plays out like the first meeting did, Belmont already showed they can win this game. Earlier this season, in Northern Iowa, Belmont was catching 2.5 points and they won by 13. That's not a fluke bounce. That's a statement result. Now, context matters. Northern Iowa was in a funk to start conference play, they looked terrible, and now they've corrected course. They've won 3 straight. They've won 4 of their last 5. They've covered 5 of their last 6. So yeah, they're trending up. I'm not ignoring that. And this is a revenge angle for Northern Iowa after losing to this Belmont team earlier this season. I can see the path. I really can. But now they're going into Nashville, Tennessee. This game is being played at Belmont in Nashville, Tennessee. And Belmont is coming off a loss against Bradley. That bounce back factor matters to me. Especially when the team we're talking about is arguably the most consistent and best team in the Missouri Valley. And when I look at the numbers, they're not just good, they're elite shooting the basketball. Belmont is shooting the 3 ball at a 40.6% rate, which is 3rd best in the country. 3rd best in the country. And if that's not enough, they're shooting the 2-point ball at a 60.7% rate, which is 7th best in the country. So Belmont is top 10 in both 3-point percentage and 2-point percentage. That's balance. That's efficiency at every level. Now here's the chess match. Northern Iowa, according to Kim Palom, has the best 3-point percentage defense in the country. So something has to give. If this matchup plays out like a strength-on-strength battle on the perimeter, that's fascinating. But what connects for me is that if the three's not falling for Belmont, they're still shooting 60.7% from 2, 7th best in the country. They can score inside. They can score outside. Northern Iowa, on the other hand, cannot hit their free throws and they do not hit their threes. So even though they've won 3 straight and won 4 of their last 5 and covered 5 of their last 6, I still have to ask, are they equipped offensively to keep up if Belmont gets rolling? And we don't even have to lay that many points here. I actually thought the spread should have been a bit bigger. That's what stands out to me. If this is the most consistent and best team in the Missouri Valley, if they already beat this team by 13 when they were catching 2.5 points, and now they're at home in Nashville, Tennessee coming off a loss against Bradley, I see a focused performance. I see urgency. Yes, Northern Iowa is hot. Yes, it's a revenge game. But if this becomes a shot-making contest, Belmont's 40.6% from 3 and 60.7% from 2 against a team that cannot hit their free throws and does not hit their threes, that's where I lean. One path I see is Northern Iowa's defense slowing the 3, but Belmont still finishing inside. Another path is Belmont stretching them early, forcing Northern Iowa to play from behind, and then those free throw and 3-point issues show up late. Either way, when I weigh it all, I'm siding with the efficiency and the bounce-back angle. So yeah, give me Belmont. Lay the points. And that's why the lean stays at Belmont, lay the points. Here we with next game South Dakota State at Denver, the lean here is Denver minus 1.5. Let me walk through why, because when I start stacking these pieces up, it keeps circling back to one side for me. South Dakota State is coming off back-to-back losses, and that matters to me situationally because confidence in college basketball swings fast. The last game was against South Dakota, they were 10.5-point favorites, and they lost that game outright by 1 point. So not only do you lose outright laying 10.5, you fail to cover by a mile, and you drop it by 1, that sticks. If this matchup plays out like a team trying to steady itself after blowing a 10.5-point favorite spot and losing outright by 1 point, I start questioning late-game execution and composure. Now flip it. Denver is coming off back-to-back road victories. That's not neutral court, not home cooking, road victories. In one game they were 12.5-point underdogs and won that game outright by 6 points. That's not a fluke cover. That's winning outright by 6 when you're catching 12.5. In the other game they were 3.5-point underdogs and won that game outright by 19 points. 19. So when I hear they're playing very good basketball and sharp basketball, that's not just narrative fluff, the numbers back it up. One path I see here is Denver riding that momentum wave, especially when they've proven they can outperform market expectation as 12.5-point underdogs winning by 6 and as 3.5-point underdogs winning by 19. What connects for me is the contrast. South Dakota State laying 10.5 and losing outright by 1, Denver catching 12.5 and winning by 6, catching 3.5 and winning by 19. Now the market flips them to a small favorite at Denver minus 1.5. That's a short number. That tells me oddsmakers are adjusting to form. If this game is tight late, I'd rather be holding the team that's been cashing outright as dogs and described as playing very good basketball and sharp basketball. So yeah, we're not overthinking this. We're taking Denver against the spread minus 1.5 over South Dakota State, and that's why the lean sticks at Denver minus 1.5. Alright, that wraps up all 6 college basketball matchups for February 12th. Again, this is analysis and opinion only. Nothing guaranteed. No promises. Just me working through how these games could realistically unfold if the tempo, matchups, and situational angles line up the way they look on paper. Now I want to hear from you. Drop a Z in the comments if you watched the full breakdown. And tell me, which spot are you riding? The undergrind, the road dog, the bounce back favorite, or are you fading one of my leans? I read the comments. I like seeing where you agree, and where you think I'm crazy. More deep dives coming soon. Same raw format, same real breakdowns, same beyond the box score style. I'll see you in the next one.